with one teacher, not many, that's again your choice. But the important thing here again is, if you look at this word guru, again, like the Lama, the word guru is combination of two words. Guru. Gu means ignorance. Ru means remover. The real guru or Lama is somebody who helps you remove your ignorance. The word, the Sanskrit or Hindi word guru also has the meaning of heaviness. Heaviness means somebody who is heavily laden with knowledge and heavily laden with inner qualities like compassion, things like that. Guru. So therefore, it is said that even when you go to market, buy something, you will check it carefully, whether it's genuine one or a fake one. Even for ordinary commodities, when you do things like that, it is extremely important to examine your teacher or your guru carefully. Now, here are a few steps. One, you can listen to anybody. Okay? Just by listening to somebody, that person doesn't become your guru. And you don't have to accept that person as your guru. For example, I'm talking here for 5, 6 days. You don't have to accept me as your Lama or guru. You're just listening to my talks. And if you get benefited, say thank you. There's normal human decency. Okay? That's good. Even if I give you a cup of tea, you say thank you, like that. So you should be grateful in that sense, but you don't have to tie your neck with me. You don't have to accept me as you. Similarly with others. Just listen to it as a lecture. Okay? Then gradually when you listen to teachings of those great teachers, and then with repeated familiarity, when you find the teaching useful, and when you find, more importantly, when you find the teacher reliable, not looking for money, not looking for sex. These things are happening. That's why I'm telling you. Okay? Not trying to take advantage of you. It happens. Unfortunately, Dharma teaching also has become a business these days, in many cases. Because human beings, it's understandable. Human beings try every means to make money, you see. So when they find Dharma useful for earning money, they do it, you see. They make a nice program saying, attend this meditation, enlightenment in 1 week. In the West, it's very popular, enlightenment in 1 week, things like that. It's pulling people, and it's very easy to pull people. Yeah. So you have to judge very carefully. The judging should be more rigorous than judging your husband and wife. Judging the teacher is even more important. Because with husband and wife, even if you make a big mistake, it's one life. If you take a wrong teacher, it may spoil your many lives journey. So what I'm saying is, don't run up the fame and name because somebody is famous, run up and know. Listen to that person's teaching, and more importantly, that person's integrity, behavior, and gradually, if you find that person suitable, then you have to, if you like, then you can accept that as your teacher. Okay? And that also you don't have to make a big announcement. Oh, he's my teacher. Mentally, you can regard that person as your teacher. Right? Okay. So there's homage to the lamas. Now, having seen the qualities of the great lama, of course, you should pay homage to that, such a teacher who is guide for your long spiritual journey. And spiritual teaching is really helpful. Many people get benefited because many people are suffering because they don't know how to think. During the pandemic, I had the opportunity to help a number of people, not based on my own initiative, but the health department asked me to be one of the counselor and things like that. And then after that, also I had a number of occasions. So sometimes, just few minutes of advice, teaching, help people. So they're very important. Okay. Other question? Next question. Yeah.
You said when you talk about compassion, you mostly spoke about compassion to other people. And so I wanted to ask if you're also going to speak about finding compassion to ourselves.
Yes. Yeah. Self-compassion. They call it self-compassion. If you don't have self-compassion, how can you have compassion to others? Some people misunderstand it. Oh, in Buddhism, you talk about compassion to others only. If you talk about self-compassion, then this is like egoistic. People think, no, it's not egoistic. You are important. If you are developing compassion to others, you are helping others, you are very important. Therefore, you should take care of yourself. Therefore, you should have compassion to yourself. If you don't know how to take care of yourself, how can you take care of others? How can you help others? So the Buddhist teaching says taking care of oneself is taking care of others. Taking care of others is taking care of yourself. And that is dependent on your motivation. If your motivation is to help others, then taking care of yourself is taking care of others. For example, with your parents, if you really love your parents, first thing is you take care of yourself. Because if you take care of yourself, your parents don't have to worry about you. They will be very happy. That's taking care of yourself. And I had this experience with myself personally. Because I went to school, after coming into exile, I was a little child, then I went to ordinary school, school, residential school, and I studied there for, I think, 12 years, did my 11th class. Then I joined this Institute of Buddhist Dialectics here, studied Buddhism for 13 years. So long story like that. So in those days, I used to think, oh, I could not help my parents because I'm always in the monastery or in the school, not able to do anything. Then at the same time, I thought, oh, yeah, I could not help them, but I also did not harm them, did not become a burden to them. You see, this is how you should think, you see. And then gradually later on, when I became translator to His Holiness, my parents were so happy. I didn't give them any money. They were so happy. Oh, our son is His Holiness is translator. You know. And then gradually I was also able to help them by giving advices and things like that, you see. So that is not because I'm great or special, but your life's journey tells you some of these experiences. Oh, I had this kind of life journey, you see. So because of my again, not because of I'm special, clever, or things like that. I'm actually not clever, very stupid. Because most of the clever people they went to America, Europe, and other countries. I'm still here talking, you see. So I jokingly tell people sometimes it's good to be a little bit dull. You're a little bit dull, not too clever, then you stay on the one thing. Then in the end, it turns out to be good. At least for me, it turned out to be good. Because I was one of the Tibetans who got an opportunity to go to America many, many years back. I'm sharing you a little bit of my secret, you see. So in those days, they give you like 10 years multi-entry. You can stay there. But then dull and stupid, 1 year, 1 month, come back. Like that. It happened many times. So I was just doing whatever has been asked me to do. See, it turned out to be good because I was so lucky to be able to stay with His Holiness for 16 years, translate for him, now working in the library, preserving Tibetan culture, contributing, not just me, many other people contributing at least to preservation of Tibetan culture, and then sharing a little bit of my knowledge to so many other people. What else you can do in life? You see? So therefore, to your question, yes, you must take care of yourself. Self-compassion is very important. We are not talking about attachment, but compassion. That you also want to get out of suffering. You see? Okay. Yes.
When the communists took over Tibet,
Yeah.
was there a choice given to the people? to convert and still be alive, or it was
No.
killing?
When the communist China came to Tibet, they uh, came in a very friendly manner. We are here only to help you. When you are able to stand on your feet, even if you ask us to stay here, we'll not stay there, we'll go back. And then they brought some sweets to the children, in a very friendly manner. But then gradually, they tightened. No, still these days, the government is talking about Sinicization, teach in Chinese, speak in Chinese, you know. So that way they are destroying the very identity of Tibetans. And then Uyghurs, so well. Unfortunately, that's what is happening. Now, even in the name of, I'm not politicizing, sorry, because you asked this question, and I have to answer. No, there's nothing wrong with that. Now, even in the name of this pandemic, what they are doing to their own people, they are seizing this in the name of this zero COVID policy. They call it zero COVID policy. So much censorship and torture they've done to the Chinese themselves. Now Tibetans, it's a lockdown right now. It's over one month. People can't complain. They can't go out and do work, you see. I mean, it's a communist system. One man show. The other says, yes. I mean, you just watch one of these big Chinese, what they call it, this yearly meeting, kind of communication or whatever, big assembly. I mean, the leader says something, everybody. There's not a single voice complaining or asking questions. Everybody. Unfortunately, that is the situation. Okay. Other questions? Yeah.
So when there is such a conflict between two different realities, which could be collective or personal, how can we approach the situation? Because for me, I end up fighting in such a situation. Yes. How do we approach this conflict?
You see, in human life, anything can happen. Because number one, we are not all enlightened. There are so many people with hatred, anger, jealousy, short-sightedness, So despite your trying to be good, the environment may unfortunately may not be encouraging. People may not be so nice, right? You have to stay in such situations also. But what is the most important thing is you make sure that you don't lose your mental balance, mental peace and calmness. And don't react negatively, especially when it is not useful. You may have reasons to react and fight, but if the situation is such that it's not going to help, don't do that. Instead of helping, you might lose your life. So be clever. Be clever. Right? And then, as Shantideva said, if it is something you can change, don't worry because you can change it. If it is something you can't change, no use worrying. By worrying, you can't change it. So instead of worrying as much as possible, try to maintain that peace and calmness, which is not easy. I'm just talking, but I know it is not easy. But there are people who have done it. Like in Nazi concentration camp. I forgot the name. There's a small book, written by one of this person who was in the prison. Victor Manfield. Right. Franklin.
Man's Quest for Reading.
Yes, recently I bought another book by him, and you have to read. So I read that book. Says his story says that he survived because of his love to his family, to his wife. Love was the force. When all the other inmates were like dying, like anything. It's not just 1 year, many years. He was able to survive because of hope, because of love for somebody. And among the Tibetans, there are so many. There was one Tibetan monk who happened to be from Namgyal Monastery, who, when he escaped from Tibet, I met him and I helped him, go to hospital, things like that. He was not in good health. So His Holiness the Dalai Lama knew him before we lost our country. Then, of course, he remained behind and he remained in prison for many years. And then finally, when he managed to come, so one day His Holiness asked him to come. So when they were having this conversation, His Holiness asked him, when you were in prison, he was in prison for 17 years. When you were in prison, did you face some problems, difficulties? He said, yes, on few occasions. Then His Holiness asked, was it your, threat to your life? He said, no. Then what was the difficulty? He said, the difficulty was I was about to lose compassion for them, the Chinese torturers, about to lose. Meaning that in all these 70 years, he'd been practicing compassion for the torturers. Now the torture is too much. There was a risk of losing his compassion. Yeah, I faced some risk. That is what he said. The risk was not his life. The risk was the risk of losing compassion for them. Because he was not concerned about himself, because he didn't do anything. He was, as a true Buddhist practitioner, he was concerned about them, because right now they are torturing a person, a monk, who didn't do anything wrong. So they are maybe enjoying, they are torturing, but they have to experience the consequences sooner or later, according to the law of karma. So therefore he was practicing compassion. So that made him survive. There were Tibetans who said, my best practice was in Chinese prison. You see? People can imprison you physically, but nobody can imprison your mind. Just like 1 month or so, I invited 2 very famous Tibetan political prisoners, 1 monk and 1 woman, young women. Just gave me. And so they were in Dharamsala, so I made it a point to invite them to the library and to give a talk. I mean, it's amazing how they face these difficulties. Okay? Yeah. Any other? Oh.
Didn't fully understand if there is any difference between compassion and merciless.
Compassion versus?
Compassion and merciless.
Mercy.
Mercy.
Merciless.
Merciless. Compassion and mercy, yeah. I don't know, these are English words, There are words like pity, mercy, compassion, a lot of things like that. But when we say compassion, we are not looking down upon other people. When we develop mercy, I don't know. When you develop pity, no, he's much more than me. So say, you see yourself as high. No, not in that way. When you develop compassion, you don't bring other people down. You simply see their suffering and do the wish to help remove their suffering. Okay? So there's a big sense of responsibility to help others, not just seeing them go and then doing something, not just that. Yeah.
Is it more helpful to help others or to attain enlightenment yourself for the benefit of others? Like, what is more important?
In the long run, attainment of enlightenment is the most important thing, as I already said. But in order to achieve that enlightenment, you need to practice the 6 perfections, 10 perfections, which also involves giving. So that means helping others also. You need to accumulate merit, you need to do wisdom. So So right now you need to, because even when you become enlightened, what are you going to do? Helping others, which to some extent you can start doing right now. So why should you postpone? You see, the help you are going to extend right now may not be like so perfect like the help extended by Buddha, because you are not enlightened, but at least you are helping. You are practicing right now. You take the practice right now. Okay, so I'll tell you this story about Yashodhara, the Buddha's the future wife. Before Buddha married Yashodhara, later he married. Okay, so they were very good friends. And then Buddha in his story says that Yashodhara is really, really very kind woman. She was a social worker, very kind-hearted, helping everybody. And Buddha said, it's really wonderful that Yashodhara is so kind, helping everybody. But in the long run, this is not enough. Meaning that unless you purify yourself completely, you will also be stuck, right? So if you don't know how to swim, you cannot help others who is drowning. You should be a good swimmer to help others, not to get drowned in water. So similarly, you know, uh, enriching your inner spiritual resources is very, very important. And the more you enrich that practice, the more you will be able to help others. That is why we have meditation period and post meditation period, meditation session and post meditative session. Meditative session is enriching your spiritual practice. Post meditative session is reading the scriptures, helping others. It's like charging the battery. To use the torch, the light of the torch in the darkness, you need to charge it. So meditation is like charging it. And the purpose of charging is if you charge it and never use it, no use. The purpose of charging is use it in the darkness. Meaning when you meet people, it's almost like going into darkness, You'll meet many funny, strange people, you see, that create problems, you see. Right? Or even otherwise there's a lot of problems. So at that time you should be able to use that spiritual practice. Okay? Yeah.
How would you compare gaining merit from being compassionate to people in the real world as opposed to, for example, practicing mantra? How would you prioritize?
My answer will be almost like my answer to her, because the Mondro practice or preliminary practice is you are planning to do this a long spiritual practice. And for that, of course, the preliminary practice should be good, right? So preliminary practice is not just doing the 100,000 prostrations or things like that, but it also involves helping others. That should be done. But even more important than the question that is even more important than that one is, how can we show compassion in a society which is ready to take advantage of you? That's even more important, right? So that's why we talk about using both compassion and wisdom. Development of compassion does not mean that you become a government. It shouldn't become just a doormat. It's not saying you let everybody trample on your foot and take advantage of you. You show your compassion with wisdom. You should know when to give, when not to give, when to help, when not to help. Know all this. In Buddhism, we talk about practice of giving. That doesn't mean you go on giving poison to others. Doesn't mean you give on distributing alms to others. Right? So therefore, it's important to use both the wisdom and compassion together. Okay? Yeah.
I didn't understand if you're feeling compassion, how can you separate it from feeling about someone else? Because you're looking about them and you said he's suffering and you're not. You feel this, I'm like, no.
There's no need for you to to look yourself as something above. Right? That because even that person to whom you are helping, you cannot say that person is lower than you.
But if you focus your mind always on compassion, like my one that I focus on suffering is respect. But if I'm focused on compassion, so compassion is
wishing to remove the sufferings of others with respect. Yeah. For example, I tell you, this famous teacher was student of this famous teacher Nagarjuna. His student Aryadeva. Somebody approached him and begged him to give one of his eye. I mean, unbelievable these things. But then he took out his eye, put it on a slate, because that was the only available thing there, almost like putting it on a plate. Then he knelt down and then offered it with respect. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I want to ask a little bit more about what you said before about being compassionate in take use of you. Because you were talking before about this prisoner, the storage, compassionate.
Yeah.
And I think like it doesn't fit the same, you say like be compassionate towards your enemy, like also that.
Two situations. The two situations. One is like the situation when this monk was imprisoned. He was totally in a situation where he can't come out from the prison. So the only thing he can do is this mental exercise, right? But in the rest of us, we may be surrounded by people, difficult situation, but we are not strictly in a prison. So we have more choices how to react. Right? So that's what I'm saying. Compassionate person doesn't mean stupid.
Yeah, it makes like more birds, more like you can see what people are like this. So it makes you like more vulnerable towards the society.
No. That's why I'm saying you should have wisdom. If you have the purpose of the wisdom is to discern, to see clearly in what context it is good to express that compassion and things like that. Compassion doesn't mean that you should always be laughing. Yeah, no. You can be really tough sometimes. Externally, you can be tough. But in your mind, you don't have enmity. You have this wish to help if there's an opportunity, but there is no opportunity, what to do? The moon is there all the time. But when the water in the bowl is dirty, the reflection of the moon will not be there. Right? Yeah. So it's tricky, yes, you're right. It's a little bit tricky, but you can. So therefore, I tell you one thing before I forget. So, generally speaking, in a human relationship, the famous Indian teacher, Kamala Shila, who also visited Tibet, in his text called Stages of Meditation, Bhavana Prana, he gave a beautiful suggestion about human relationship. He said, when it comes to relating to other person, it should be how you relate to fire and cold weather. In cold weather now, very soon in Tushita, cold weather. How you relate to your fire? You need the warmth of the fire. That doesn't mean you go and touch the fire. Don't touch the fire, it will burn you. Little bit stay away from the fire, but not so far away that you don't reach the warmth. So human relation also, don't go too close if possible. If you go too close, I'm not saying other people, everybody is bad, things like that, but other people, unfortunately, like you, like other people also, they are not enlightened, they're small kids. So together you can make any mistake. You see? Then also, it's a fact of the biological situation. There are philosophers and thinkers who say human beings, this you need to think. We are made for survival, not for truth. उनको जीने के लिए बनाया गया, साथी के लिए नहीं. We are not made for truth. We are made for survival. For survival means you're according to the science and the biology, they're saying you are not made for truth. You are made for survival. Survival. I mean, it's like I think with every system, trees, animals, human beings. There's a similarity there. You're made for survival. That means why you should survive. You should survive so that you pass your gene to the next generation. That's your job, right? Now, to do that, you need attachment. Without attachment, how can you produce children? In Buddhism, it talks about, there is a statement talking about having no attachment, having compassion, and producing children. Generally speaking, for us ordinary people, we produce children with attachment. Then somebody comes on the way, you need anger and hatred to defend yourself. At least this is how it started long, long ago when men lived in the cave. So we also have those traces in our brain right now. That's why attachment and anger, they play such a big role. You watch a movie, Indian movie, American movie, the two most important that is there, the movie is wow, beautiful, nice. If it's not there, the movie is dull. There's a depiction of our life, you see. So therefore, I mean, it's not easy, but but you can do training. Okay.